Hello everyone, Joel here. When a standard party just doesn't cut it, some JRPGs crack the floodgates open and hand you literal armies. Managing gear for dozens, sometimes hundreds of characters is a special kind of madness, but building an unstoppable squad out of a massive talent pool is pure gaming bliss. Let's dive into 15 incredible JRPGs that give you an absolutely insane number of playable characters. Kicking things off in Sega's tactical golden era, this series hands you a rolling carnival of fantasy chaos instead of a basic party. You'll recruit centaurs, samurai, birdmen, and Domingo, a literal floating jellyfish. The turn-based grid combat feels like cozy, high-stakes chess, and promoting units into beefy advanced classes is deeply satisfying. However, the 90s inventory management is a clunky nightmare of limited item slots, and grinding underleveled bench warmers requires serious patience. Plus, enemy AI occasionally makes completely baffling moves. Still, nothing beats discovering bizarre hidden companions, even if Yogurt gives you a useless ring just for existing.
Spirits, help me!
What happens when you smash together over 100 giant mechs from dozens of anime franchises? You get a glorious copyright nightmare and one of gaming's most bloated, exhilarating rosters. From classic Gundam units to Code Geass and Gridman, building your dream hangar is an absolute blast. The real selling point is the over-the-top combat animations. Watching a pilot scream their attack while launching a galactic laser never gets old. On the flip side, the UI looks like a 1998 spreadsheet, and dumping upgrades into 3 overpowered mechs makes the difficulty laughably easy. It's pure fan service with massive management.
Prepare yourself. Cumbersome.
Dropping mobile gacha mechanics for a proper standalone console release, Octopath Traveler 0 lets you assemble a sprawling crew of over 30 distinct companions to rebuild your burned-down hometown. The signature break and boost turn-based combat is crisper than ever, allowing seamless swapping between frontline and backline fighters mid-battle. Because it adapted a massive mobile cast, some recruits naturally lack the intimate narrative depth found in Octopath Traveler 2. Furthermore, grinding out town-building materials can halt narrative momentum. But honestly, building an army of gorgeous HD 2D travelers without pulling out a credit card is a massive triumph.
I trust you.
Press the attack!
I'll hit him.
If you prefer tank treats over magic, this tactical series delivers anime World War melodrama with an unforgettable cast. You command militia squads filled with dozens of drafted citizens, from pacifist bakers to grumpy mechanics, each bringing unique traits to battle. The Blitz combat system shines, blending turn-based command maps with real-time third-person aiming that keeps every sprint tense. That said, permadeath triggers real anxiety when an unlucky mortar hits. Also, broken scout classes can easily exploit enemy AI to sprint across entire maps on turn 1. Plus, managing characters who get stat penalties near co-workers they dislike is hilariously frustrating.
You'll never hit me!
Show the world the temper of our steel. Now then, strike now!
Shifting to a PS2 fever dream, this action JRPG features a jaw-dropping 177 recruitable characters living in a simulated world. Every single NPC follows a real-time daily schedule. To recruit them, you learn their routine, do obscure tasks, or literally kick them in the shins until they fight you. Building your squad from random townsfolk is endlessly charming. However, kicking your way through town reveals flaws. Tight windows lock you out of recruits permanently, and halfway through, a story choice permanently bans half your roster. Combined with somewhat shallow button-mashing combat, it's a mechanical oddity with legendary roster depth. Before we go into the list, I want to give you my recommendation for some of the best deals in instant gaming right now, especially if you're tight on budget. We knew that instant gaming always give us so many crazy deals for your favorite games, like these titles for example. I mean, can you believe these prices? If you love RPGs, there's no way you never heard of these masterpieces, and to think that you can get them under $10 or even $5, it's an absolute steal. All you have to do is just click my link in the description below, start searching for your favorite games and use the activation code on your chosen platform. By using my link, you're not only saving tons of money, but also helping me to support this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. If 177 characters sounds insane, welcome to the Netherworld, where your roster is literally infinite. This tactical playground lets you build custom armies of demons, martial artists, and exploding penguins called Prinnies, grinding them up to level beyond 9,000. You can throw teammates across maps and enter inside weapons to level up gear. Of course, this series is the undisputed king of grindfests. If you don't love staring at stat sheets, navigating labyrinthine menus, and repeating procedurally generated maps for 40 hours just to buff a sword, the repetition will melt your brain. It's tactical comfort food for hardcore completionists.
This is divine punishment!
Pivoting into tragic Norse mythology, recruiting a massive roster here literally requires people to die first. Playing as a battle goddess, your job is scouring the mortal realm for fallen warriors to train for Ragnarok. The rhythm-based combat is perfection, assigning 4 characters to face buttons for devastating air juggling combos. The catch, however, is emotionally brutal. The game demands you permanently transfer your best companions to Valhalla for an unseen war, leaving your active party constantly cannibalized. Add notoriously cryptic story triggers that practically require a walkthrough for the true endings, and you get an unforgiving, breathtaking masterpiece.
My sword grows heavier and heavier.
This stellar 3D remake perfected leading an empire across centuries. Instead of one fixed party, you play as a lineage of emperors, recruiting dozens of character classes, from court mages to martial artists as generations pass the torch. Turn-based combat thrives on the iconic Glimmer lightbulb system, where characters invent brand new skills mid-battle. Despite a gorgeous glow-up and modern quality-of-life additions, brutal old-school DNA remains. The life point mechanic means characters suffer permanent permadeath if knocked out too often, and multi-step side quests have obtuse triggers that easily break if you advance the timeline too quickly. Anchored by over a decade of continuous storytelling, this climax unites over 50 playable characters from the Sky, Crossbell, and Cold Steel arcs. It feels like the ultimate class reunion across 3 interconnected protagonist routes. The standout True Reverie corridor lets you freely mix characters from rival factions to unleash devastating tactical link attacks. The barrier to entry obviously is astronomical. Skipping the previous 9 100-hour games means drowning in proper nouns and political lore. Additionally, spending an hour in menus optimizing orbment quartz for 50 characters before a boss fight feels like managing an IT department. Traveling across parallel dimensions, this classic lets you assemble a crew of 45 companions that defies all logic. Where else can you recruit a Dragoon Knight, a glam rock guitarist, a voodoo doll, and a sentient pink turnip into the exact same party? Set against a vibrant tropical archipelago with Yasunori Mitsuda's legendary soundtrack, combat relies on a clever elemental grid system. The obvious downside of 45 recruits is that roughly 2/3 lack narrative relevance after joining using algorithmic accents on generic dialogue. Plus, the unconventional star leveling system caps stat growth between bosses, frustrating traditional XP grinding fans. Stepping into gritty, morally grey political warfare, you assemble a sprawling battalion of knights, terror knights, hawkmen, and archers to survive grueling grid combat. The narrative is a masterpiece of branching consequences, forcing horrifying moral compromises that dictate which companions join or betray you. The Chariot Tarot system is a lifesaver, letting you rewind turn-based mistakes. Mechanically, however, Reborn enforces strict level caps tied to story progression, preventing you from outgrinding tough bosses. The battlefield also gets littered with randomized arcade-style buff cards that clutter the isometric terrain and swing fight outcomes a bit too heavily on RNG luck. You can't talk tactical political dramas without tipping your hat to the godfather of deep rosters. While you recruit legendary story characters like game-breaking Thunder God Orlando, the magic lies in buying generic squires and sculpting them into customized armies of ninjas, arithmeticians, and chocobos. The job system remains the gold standard of customization. However, the pacing famously hits brick walls. Early difficulty spikes like Daughter Slums can permanently softlock unprepared saves. Furthermore, once you crack the job mechanics late game, challenge completely collapses, turning 10 skirmishes into one-turn slaughterfest where enemies don't even get a turn to move.
Our power is yours. Make them tremble.
This quintessential Nintendo series mastered making you fall in love with a massive army right before killing them off. Whether teaching students in Three Houses or summoning legends in Engage, you constantly manage dozens of distinct anime soldiers. Turn-based combat revolves around clean positioning, weapon triangle, rock, paper, scissors, and building affinities through charming battlefield support conversations. The classic permadeath toggle creates incredible tension, but a random 1% enemy critical hit will force you to reset an hour-long map to save your favorite Pegasus Knight. Some entries also lean heavily into tedious social sim monastery chores between battles that disrupt tactical pacing. Vanillaware's tactical masterpiece delivers over 60 unique recruitable companions brought to life with jaw-dropping 2D art. Instead of moving single units, you organize your massive roster into customized 5-man squads that roam real-time overworld maps to liberate towns. Combat mechanics are pure brilliance. Using a programming system similar to Final Fantasy XII's Gambits, you code exact instructions for skills before automated skirmishes. While programming synergies is addicting, sorting through inventory, accessories, and tactics menus for 60+ soldiers becomes a daunting endgame chore. The high fantasy narrative also plays things safe with familiar tropes, but the squad engineering is unmatched.
Go on!
I'm gonna try now.
Built around the classic water margin, this legendary series challenges you to recruit the 108 stars of destiny. With the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster bringing these masterpieces to modern platforms, uniting this massive army feels better than ever. What makes recruiting over 100 characters so rewarding is your castle headquarters. As you recruit chefs, detectives, and warriors, your fortress visually transforms into a bustling metropolis. Fast-paced party combat is snappy, but retro fangs show through obscure recruitment mechanics. Missing a brief, unprompted tavern visit can permanently lock you out of stars and the true ending.